This week I'll show you why it's a good idea to use a flash when you're shooting outside in the sunlight.
Adorama TV presents Digital Photography One-on-One, where we answer your questions. Here's your host, Mark Wallace.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Digital Photography One-on-One. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, we've been posting a lot of videos on YouTube, and on a lot of them we're seeing the same comment over and over. And it's a simple question, and the question is, why are you using a flash when you're shooting outside in bright sunlight? Well, that's a great question, and the reason is very simple. When you use a flash outside during the sunlight hours, the pictures just look better. And so it's easy to talk about it, but it's better to show it. So let's zip over to the studio, and we're going to learn a little bit about the differences between an on-camera flash and a built-in flash, and then we're going to head over to the park to put everything in practice. All right, well, before we show you how to use a flash outside, we first need to show you some things inside. And to help me do that today is our model, Lachelle. And what we want to do is show you the difference between the power output of a built-in flash, that's a flash that's right on your camera, and an external flash, that's one that you slide onto your camera, because that's really going to make a difference when we go outside and shoot in bright sunlight. Now to do this, what we've done is we've set up a little demo. So there's a tape measure on the floor here, and we've made some marks on the ground with one at 5 feet and one at 10 feet, one down here at 15 feet, there's one at 20 and even 30 feet. And what I want to do is to shoot Lachelle at each of these distances to show you how effective our flash is at each of these stations. And I'm going to do that first with the built-in flash, and then we'll do that with our external flash. So what I've done here is I've set this up so that none of this external light makes any impact. In fact, if I take this picture with no flash at all, so Lachelle, look right here, great, you can see that it's totally dark. The only light that we're going to see is the light from the flash. So let's first start at 5 feet and then we'll work our way back. So look right at me, Lachelle, perfect, just like that. Well, you can see from the shots that the light really drops off radically after about 10 feet. So that built-in flash really is only good between 6 and 10 feet at ISO 100. So to be able to shoot farther than that, you really need an external flash like this. And so I want to show you those same shots with this flash to show you the difference that it makes. So I'm going to put this on my camera here, and I'm just shooting these in shutter priority mode at 200th of a second. And so we're going to do the exact same thing again, same exact settings. So this is at 5 feet. All right, well, you could see that there was a huge difference with the external flash. We were able to shoot all the way back at 30 feet and still get a proper exposure. And so what that means is when you're shooting outside in bright sunlight, you need to have as much flash power as possible. And an external flash is going to give you options that the internal flash just won't give you, specifically if you need to shoot farther away, or if it's really bright out and you need a lot of light, well, this external flash is going to give you that light where the internal flash may not. And there's one other thing an external flash can do for you, and that is a thing called high-speed sync, and that allows you to shoot at a shutter speed that's higher than 200th of a second. And so when we go outside, you'll see us do a shot using high-speed sync, and you'll understand why it's so important. So without further ado, let's head on down to the park. All right, well, we are here in the park, and Lachelle is going to help me demonstrate how a built-in flash on your camera can really help you solve some nasty lighting issues. Now, sometimes you have to shoot in the middle of the day at like 12 high noon, like we are right now shooting at the park. This is not the optimal time to be shooting, but sometimes you just have to work with the time that you have. And so what we have right now is we have this strong light coming in, and you can see that we have some really nasty shadows and light on Lachelle's face. And I really don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to do some things to fix these issues. So the first thing we're going to do is have Lachelle turn just a little bit like that. And I really like this hood that she has, so she's going to pop this hood up on her head, and what that's going to do is going to be sort of playful. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a place to shoot where the background isn't horrible, so this mountain range back here is going to work pretty good. And so what I'll do here is, now that I have Lachelle this way, the light is now coming from behind her, and it's giving her this nice highlight on her the back of her head, and it's giving this nice sort of a silver lining around the clouds kind of a look. The problem is now her face is going to be too dark when I take the picture. So let me shoot the first shot with no flash turned on, and so let me get this all framed up. Good. LaShawn, look right at me. Perfect. Now when we look at this picture, it looks okay. The problem though is there's no light coming inside of her hood and her face. It's just a little bit dark. Her eyes are going to fall a little bit dark. So I'm going to turn on my pop-up flash. Now remember, with the pop-up flash, the built-in flash, we really only have 6 to 10 feet to work with because it's just not powerful enough to go much farther than that. So I'm going to keep this to be a nice headshot here, and I'm going to recompose this, and now I like what I have. I'm going to take a couple shots here just like that, chin down just a little bit. Perfect. Awesome. Now you can see with these shots that we have light coming right into her face. Her eyes have a catch light and things look a lot nicer, and that is a great reason to use a flash outside in bright sunlight. Well, there's another reason you might want to use a flash in bright sunlight, and that is to balance shade with ambient light. So let's do that next. Well, there's another scenario that using a flash outside really helps out, and that is to balance light that is just nasty like we have right here. And so we are shooting in the worst part of the day. This is about 12 o'clock, high noon, and you should never shoot. But if you have to shoot at high noon, you can use an external flash to help fix things. And so what we did is we wanted to get to a place where the light was a little bit softer, and so LaShawn and I, we came here to the shaded area. But the problem is behind us we have really, really bright light. And so we need to balance that really bright light with this shaded area. Now normally we would turn on our flash, but that's not going to work with the built-in flash for 2 reasons. The first reason is to balance the background light, I need to shoot at a shutter speed that is over 200th of a second, and I can't do that with a built-in flash. I'm limited to shooting at 200th of a second. And the second thing is, as I showed you in the studio earlier, this flash just isn't bright enough to put enough light on LaShawn's face. So what I need to do is not use the built-in flash, but I need to get a nice external flash like this 580EX2, and I can turn that on. Now this has a mode that's called high speed sync mode, and Nikon and other cameras have a mode that's similar, and it's called FP sync. So make sure you're using that on your flash, and what that'll allow you to do is shoot over that 200th of a second barrier. And so now what I can do is I can put my camera in manual mode, and I've already metered the background, so I'm shooting at f2.8 because I want a really wide open aperture to drop out that nasty background, and I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 4,000th of a second, which is going to make sure that the background is properly exposed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shoot 2 pictures. The first one is LaShawn and the background with no flash, so you can see how she's going to be totally underexposed. Then I'm going to turn on the flash, and you'll see how we get a nice fill flash. So let's get going. So I'm going to come right over here. This flash is turned off, so this is totally turned off. And so LaShawn, look right at me. We've got a great composition there. And when I look at this, we can see that the background is okay, but LaShawn is totally underexposed. So now I'm going to turn on my flash and take that same shot. There we go. And now we can see that the flash is filled in LaShawn's face, and we have a proper exposure. And there you have it, reasons to use a flash when you're shooting outside in bright sunlight. Well, thanks so much for the questions. For more information about high-speed sync and on-camera flash basics, make sure you look at episode 17. That's all about sync speed and why you need an external flash to go faster than a shutter speed of 200th of a second. And then for more information about operating an on-camera flash, make sure you look at episode 43 because that's all about on-camera flash basics. Well, thanks so much for joining me again today. Remember, if you have questions about photography or photography gear, you can send those to me at askmark@adorama.com.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.
Yes. Got it. Yeah, that's good. It's my built-in light tint. I am a snuffleupagus.
Digital Photography One-on-One is written and produced by Snap Factory. For more information about our workshops, visit snapfactory.com.